Hello, hello,
Hey, Lord.
everybody. Good morning, good night. Oh,
Good morning.
good morning,
Good afternoon.
good afternoon. Definitely good afternoon for me here, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. and 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
Oh, yeah?
Can you see me? No, you can't.
I cannot
Why
see
is that?
Rob.
Why is that?
Now I can see Rolandas. There we go. Hey, hey, welcome. And we also have a spaceship, a Buddha on a spaceship. Uh, Jasmine. Nice. See,
I don't know how to somehow
hi, Jasmine.
the recording doesn't work. There we go. Yes.
Okay, in a space station of some sort.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I don't think I've seen you before, Rob, on this session.
No, not. No, I haven't got any sessions with you yet, so this is the first.
Okay, great. So you guys know how it works. We go through each individual person, troubleshoot with each person, and hope through that process we gain a lot of clarity on what to do, and questions also appear in that process. And since Rob, this is your first time with me on this session, we can start off with going with you.
Okay.
So where are you at right now, and how is it going?
um, well, I seem to get stuck after some point. When I start the D method track, everything works out fine. And at one moment, um, let me think, I don't feel my body anymore. So that works. That works great. But after that, I can sink breathe as much as I want, but somehow it doesn't go any deeper than that. Just don't feel my body anymore, and there's no progress in that for at least the last month, so to speak. So
Okay. And then burden is gone. Right?
Yeah, you
Well,
yes,
yeah, it's all because it's no, it's taking so it's like whoa, oh my God, so it's like the thing is you only calls you can so and check that that should find and
yeah,
if they're like because the best of course you because
40. Yes.
like yes
Yeah, no, I did the first one.
more is that
I did too much.
the thing that's so practical is that same fact of with that's we get relaxed and so naturally I'm trying to say calls but they're different different that's what okay and say like this and this I'm doing this too also happy to stay
Right.
if you're you still what do you think that's from the figuring out focusing on one thing that works is to focus on the different parts of the body that you're relaxing. So you're occupying your mind with scanning the body, scanning the face, relaxing different parts of the face that you're detecting is tense, shoulders. Like you're just kind of like analyzing the body. Analyzing is not
Right.
the right word because I don't want you to be too much up here in the mind, but just
Well,
scanning.
at one moment you say to raise your vibrations by inhaling bliss and love.
Yeah.
That immediately triggers my heart energy centers. So that is really, really prominent present at that time. So I really feel quite a pressure on my chest when I do that. And it starts.
Like,
Is that also a good thing to?
you mean like it activates you, you become more awake, or
Even if I'm talking to you now and I think about it, I feel the pressure on my chest coming up. So it's really active.
a pressure, like a positive
Yeah,
pressure?
yeah, yeah, a positive pressure. It's not
Yeah.
it's in the middle of my chest. It's not really the heart region more to the left, but it's basically where your hanger is right now on your chest, and it feels really like a really something activated, a really pressure kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Okay, but after the part of the soundtrack where there's a 5 minute deep breathing when you're doing this, you're breathing into the heart,
Right,
all of that. After that, you're doing the sync breathing. Are you
right.
able to relax yourself, or do you find yourself being too?
No, I'm very relaxed. But
Okay, so what you're
the
trying to
heart,
say is that you could focus on the heart to stay awake. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, yeah, because it doesn't matter. It just stays active. If I focus it on that, that pressure on my chest is still there.
Okay. Yeah, so in your case, maybe focusing on bringing in love on the inhales and doing what we're doing
Right,
with the deep breathing, you can bring that over to the sync breathing part as well, and use that as a way to stay focused on something as you're at the same time you still have to go deep. You
right.
but in your case, it might be what it takes to get yourself more balanced. Because right now what we're hearing is that you're passing it and you're getting too deep,
Yes,
right?
seems like that.
Okay, so I would say try those things, and that should take you to another experience than you had now with the soundtrack, especially with putting the volume up of the soundtrack. That's gonna
Right.
definitely help you as well.
Well, I did have a while back. I did have some really strong vibrations throughout my body,
Uh-huh.
and that was during the semi-indirect method when I kept falling asleep during the method, and then I woke up. Oh no, I couldn't fall asleep anymore. And then I said, well, this isn't working, so I quit, and or at least I gave up, or let go.
Yeah.
And at that moment, my whole body started vibrating really, really heavy. So it I know it can be done, so to speak, and it gave me some confidence. So yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to try.
Good. Yeah, and also you know it can be done because you've experienced it, and you also learned that when you surrender fully, like you did, that's when it came on
Yeah, but that
as
is
well.
not something you can say to yourself. Well, let's surrender fully, because somehow that doesn't work. I don't know why, but no,
That's
maybe it
what
has some.
that's what we
Sorry.
do with the sync breathing.
Yeah.
We are we are evoking that feeling of surrendering
Right.
fully and sort of
Right.
reminding ourselves to do it over and over and over and
Right.
over. And as we do the sync breathing and we're reminding ourselves to let go, we let go on all levels, mentally letting go of control, and emotionally letting go, and physically especially letting go of all the tension. The body is usually the main obstacle with this practice is that the body is awake when you are awake, and
Yeah.
you want to put the body to sleep in order to have
Right.
the experience. Like, as long as the body is awake, it's not going to let you go very far at all.
Right.
You need to
Right.
trick it. You need to fool the body to think that you are asleep. That's why we don't want to move. That's also why we want to practice for longer periods of time. So if you practice for an hour, usually that's not enough. 2 hours, definitely better, but sometimes it can even take longer. It can take 2.5 hours, and then you getting there.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
the
I
beginning, especially.
definitely should try that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're essentially fighting with the body, like trying to get the body to fall asleep. And you
Yeah.
cannot do it by fight. You have to let go. You have to surrender and relax and constantly let go and surrender all the different parts of the body and the face and the hand and everything.
Right.
And Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. Who wants to go next?
Eerily quiet.
Does anyone have any specific questions for today, or
Yeah, I wanted to ask. Last week it was like 3 hours of practicing, and I just got on my side and was able to swipe out of my body. And this week,
great?
yeah, and this week, as much as I try, 4 hours, 3 hours, nothing happens. Like I'm stuck in between falling asleep and that weakness side. I mean, it's like you are deep enough to get in the trance, but it's not deep enough to get out. Like you are still stuck in a body.
So what's happening? You're on the back. You're practicing for how
On
long?
the back, on the back. Sometimes I turn on my side, on my right side, and yeah, like you don't move your legs, you don't scratch anything, and after hour or two you start drifting, but you know that sweet moment without any weights falling down on the floor or whatever. You know that moment that you get into the sleep, into the dream, but actually you can't do any movement from there. It's like a little thought wakes you up and you are still stuck.
I'm not sure I understand fully. Can you explain a bit more?
It's the moment when you actually fall asleep. You can feel that drift into the sleep, but it's not deep enough. Not I don't know.
Okay, so it's like the hypnagogic state. You start to
Yeah,
experience some slight sounds, maybe some visions appear. So you're somewhere in this yellow zone.
yeah, and you can feel that you moved like 1 centimeter or less in your body, but it's not deep enough to stand up or to do any movement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're here in this
Yes,
area.
somewhere
You,
on the yellow.
you managed to get yourself relaxed past the red zone, which is obviously when your body's still active and awake, and um, you got all the way down to the yellow zone. So and now you're getting signs that you're on the right path. You're getting these non-physical. Well, you're getting some of these hypnagogic images and sensations, but they're not enough to exit. So you don't have a green light, right?
Right.
Right. Yes. So simply that means that you're not deep enough.
And how do you deepen yourself by breathing, by doing the pause between inhaling and exhaling, or is there some kind of trick?
The trick is the sync breathing.
Sync breathing. Just continue.
So the sync breathing is something that doesn't work if you just do like once or twice in the session. It's like over and over and over and over, and it's weird because it's like your whole body, even though it feels very relaxed. Like when you're here, your body feels very relaxed. You don't think you can relax more, but as you do the sync breathing, you notice that you are reaching more levels of relaxation, even though you thought you were at the maximal level. There's like still more layers to it, and you kind of like layer by layer getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And I don't know if you were in the last session when I was talking about how there's a connection between yoga and the practice. So I'll just repeat that on this session. So essentially, when you're doing yoga, you're getting yourself into the different poses. And what they say is that in order to deepen the pose and to stretch deeper, to stretch further in the pose, you have to use your breath. So you breathe in, breathe into the pose, and when you breathe out, you start stretching yourself more. And then you breathe in, and you breathe out, stretching yourself more. And as you're doing this process, you find that you can start, stretching so much more than you did in the first, in the beginning of the stretch. And so you're deepening the stretch with the exhales. And we're doing the same thing with the sync breathing, But instead of deepening the stretch or any stretches, we're just relaxing ourselves and sinking within ourselves physically, just kind of like letting go. And you start feeling how you're just sinking inside of yourself, like you're just mm, mm. And you just keep doing that, and it relaxes you more and more. And because you're focusing on this is the thing, that if you're focusing on the actual relaxation process, focusing on letting go, like you actually focus on something, because you're focused, you won't fall asleep. And as you're awake during this process, you will then enter that state where you start to experience the non-physical sensation. You'll start to get into the zone, the real zone, the green light zone, where you start to experience those sensations. And because you're conscious when you're doing the sync breathing, you'll be able to observe those non-physical sensations that start to appear. Otherwise, usually when we get there, even if we have those non-physical sensations, because we're so not focused on what's happening, we fall asleep very quickly, and we pass it. So really, for all of you guys, like, it's very important to practice the sync breathing. The soundtrack in there's that session, the sync breathing session, that's in the program. I would definitely encourage all of you guys to go through that one again and practice the actual process of sync breathing. Go with that guided meditation, because I know that in the Direct Method soundtrack, you don't have the whole guidance of how to do the sync breathing. It just says, now it's time for you to do the sync breathing. So at that point, you just need to know what that is and how it feels and how you're supposed to do it, because it's not going to be explained again in the soundtrack. Cool. Nice. What else can I say about the sync breathing? It's there's emotions of, on an emotional level, you're really like, almost like you're feeling yourself being in the most comfortable bed ever. Like it's a blissful feeling of just letting go, like letting go of everything, really like trying to evoke that feeling of full relaxation. And you do it over and over and over and over and over. It's not enough to just do it a few times. That's the thing. It's about doing it constantly. That's when you really start taking control of the relaxation, to the point where you get yourself so deep. Does that make sense? Did you get any new insights?
Yeah, it does. Actually, if you are doing it for 3 hours, let's say, and after 3 hours you still don't feel that you are deep enough,
Okay, then
should you just let yourself try to fall asleep and then from that waking state try again?
sure, you can do that. What I found from my practice personally, if I do the sync breathing for a long time and I'm like, I just cannot get deeper, it usually has to do with my positioning. Like I might be too much sitting up like this, and no matter how much I sync breathe, I just seem to just not be able to get deeper. And then the moment I just change the position like that, which with my chair I can actually just push a little bit like this, and I can, just by pushing myself backwards, I can change the positioning, and I can feel that just going from like this to like that, now suddenly like, oh, okay, I'm much more relaxed here, and then and I'm able to get deeper. Remember that this is always a trick to get deeper. Like the more you're on your flat, the easier you can get deeper. The more you're sitting up, the more you're gonna be more awake. So it's always a thing you can play with, the reclining position. So maybe you can experiment with, if you try like this and you just can't get deep enough, then maybe remove some of the pillows if you're using pillows, or just get yourself in a slightly lower position like that and try that. Not necessarily like all the way like this, but just a little bit less, and see if that can get you more comfortable and get you more into the right state. Also, putting a pillow here can also get you more relaxed and can help you get deeper. Those are some tips. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, good. Who wants to go next? Well, Jasmine, you haven't been on a session for a long time, so maybe you have some questions.
Yes, I did write down a question. I feel I'm at the point to how to recommit myself to the practice, how to get re-inspired about the practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay, so you've started a practice again.
Oh yeah, I never stopped.
Okay, and what's
I never-
happening most times that you're practicing?
Oh boy, a lot's been happening.
Okay.
It's kind of hard to describe, but I've
Focus on the things that
definitely,
happen most times. So if you practice like 10 times, majority of the times, what took place? Did you maybe fall asleep and nothing happened? You woke up later, like, oh, or did you stay awake and you just couldn't get deeper? Or did you get a body? Or, what's the
yeah,
what's the
no,
pattern that emerges? That's kind of what we always want to look at. We want to look at what patterns are emerging when we're practicing.
no, I haven't had a real out of body experience for like a year and a half.
Okay.
But what's happening is I definitely experienced that downloading an upgrade
Mm-hmm.
so that the yogic breathing is resulting in this okay, so before I had the hypnotherapy with Linda, I
Mhm.
had the emotional trauma release session with that lovely somatic healer. I don't know if she's still with you, but I had a really profound experience. She gives you these exercises, these really simple exercises,
Yeah.
and then your body just starts flopping all over.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened after I got the upgrade is that I can go to that flopping all over stage without trying. I don't have to do the exercises. I just what you were talking about, the yogic breathing. Like
The sync,
if I
the sync breathing.
yeah, if I have a pain, I can really consciously breathe into that pain and feel that expanding.
Yeah.
And I start breathing into every cell in my body. I start imagining that I'm listening to the music with every cell in my body, and I
Yeah.
start getting bigger and bigger,
That sounds
and
good. That sounds
yeah,
good.
it is really good. Everything that's happening is really, really good. I feel that I'm learning about communicating with my guides without my physical senses.
Mm-hmm.
So like they're coming in to my body and they're helping me, they're working with me, they're communicating with me without see, I'm still too in my mind. I'm
Yeah,
still
we all are.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
so much in our mind, especially today with so much stuff happening everywhere, and we get a lot of stuff consciously being projected in our minds, and yeah, we're bombarded with stimulation from everywhere, right? So yeah, we
yeah,
are all of us were usually a lot in our minds, and so it can be a challenge to let go of everything when we're
yeah.
practicing. But I'm
What
curious to
what
also understand what happens when you're practicing the direct method, like when you're going through the process with the soundtrack, what usually, where do you get stuck?
I usually get frustrated. the one real out of body experience I had a year and a half ago was at the 3 hours and 7 minutes of the practice. And I normally don't play the, I usually don't play the soundtrack that long.
How long do you play it for?
Oh, like 45 minutes. And then I'll turn it up, get out of my chair and go back to bed and
Okay.
continue the practice in the bed.
Oh,
And I feel like I'm still preparing my energy body for travel. It still feels like after all this time, I still have healing. I'm still working on this trauma release stuff, and it feels like my fears have gotten worse.
worse.
Yeah, that could be a good thing. Like it's more, I see them more. I have more clarity and
conscious of them.
awareness about how fear-based I am. But basically what's happened is that I've gotten afraid of the vertigo.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've gotten confused in myself that any feeling of vertigo, and like if I let go too much, I'm going to have this spin out in a negative way. Like I've gotten afraid of dying more. I've gotten more afraid of like having a stroke or somehow not being able to recover my mental capacities.
Yeah. So do you find that these fears are related? So these fears comes up when you're practicing, fear of death, fear of dying. Do you feel any fear when you're doing the practice?
Well, it's like always there. What I'm letting go of is that's what I learned when the first time I took the course is, oh my goodness, my ego is like huge.
Mm.
So it's like my ego is wanting to hang on to the fears.
Okay.
I loved your instructions to actually say, I am fully surrendering now. I am fully surrendering. I am fully surrendering over and over and over and over. And yeah, I think that's what I'm not doing. Because when I realize I'm almost relaxed enough, and then I jerk back in to
Yeah.
awareness.
So that's true. However, there is an element of another thing that can play into it. So even if you consciously telling yourself that I'm safe, I'm gonna surrender, everything is fine, like you're consciously doing that type of affirmations for yourself, that's gonna help you. But if your fears are quite strong, which means your subconscious fears are strong, because that's where the fears are, they're in the subconscious. You cannot lie to your subconscious mind. So you cannot tell your subconscious mind, I am not afraid, I'm not afraid. If inside the subconscious mind is saying, you are afraid of this and this and this and this, and so you cannot trick that part of you. So the only way really to go past that is to shift that part of you. And you can do that by really, delving deep into that, by facing the fears and resolving them. That's why hypnotherapy is really good for that. Did you work with Linda on these fears?
Yeah, and what I need to do is re-listen to that tape over and over and over.
You
Do
work with Erla then, in that case, if it's a tape.
No, it was with Linda, but she gave me the recording of the session. I have the recording of my hypnotherapy session with Linda.
It's a Zoom session?
The recording is just the audio.
That's what I'm saying, because we have two hypnotherapist. Did you do that in the beginning of the program when you first started?
No, it was after completing the first 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a session with Linda. It was like July of
Yeah. Are you
2022.
100% sure it was Linda? Because she normally never gives out any audios.
Oh, it was for sure 100% Linda. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have the audio. And during the experience, okay, I was like, oh, this is dumb. This isn't, that nothing's happening. Oh, why does she keep asking me that over and over? I was really, really struggling. And you know, it- I started having benefit from it immediately, but I still thought it was, you know, so finally it was like 3 months before I listened to the recording. And I realized that I was definitely hypnotized, and all of the mind stuff did not affect it. I was my voice sounds different. My voice sound when I was going, oh, this is nothing's happening. I'm just really blah. It was because I was in that state. I
Mm-hmm.
was past the emotional body. I was definitely in a place
Yeah.
where there was no emotion. But yeah, what she did was she had me, it was a very Sufi thing. She had me make friends with the fears,
Mm-hmm.
to enlist them to achieve my highest goals.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
so that is very powerful, and I need to listen to it over and over and over. I've maybe listened to it twice. I should listen to it every day. And then the
Yeah,
other
listen
thing,
to it more. If you made a soundtrack with Linda and it's about the same fears that you're facing, then you can use the same soundtrack and you can keep listening to that. However, you might also find that there's new fears that you have uncovered that you didn't know before, or maybe you solved some of the layers of the fears you have, but then there are other ones that are sneaking up on you, so that you need to work on as well. This is going to be crucial for you because yeah, even if you are doing the practice and you are getting close to the right state, those fears will keep you from exiting. I know I say that all the time, and that's true. Like your own fears will block you from having the out of body experience. You won't be able to relax deep enough. You won't be able to let go fully. You won't be able to surrender fully. Like how can you surrender fully to something that you're afraid of doing? It's there's two energies fighting to get for fighting there. One is saying relax, let go. One is saying no, hold on, control. And that kind of contradiction cannot be there when you're trying to do the practice. It needs to be, your whole being needs to be on board with this. You have to be like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be blissful. And so definitely do, maybe book another session with her if you feel like there's other things that's come up that you feel have not been unpacked in the hypnotherapy session that you had, and deal with that. Also, remember that all of you guys, that with Linda's hypnotherapy, you can use it on anything. It doesn't have to be just something related to astral projection. You can use it on being triggered by something or somebody, or being worried about something, or like anything that has to do with your like mind stuff, fears, limits in belief, worries, negative thinking, procrastination, like so many of these common things that we normally have to deal with. The hypnotherapy is so powerful to understand why you're doing it, to get to the root cause of where it's coming from, and then to be able to shift it in 1 or 2 sessions. It's really so powerful. It's really, really powerful. So you want to do that for sure, Jasmine, to shift. And then with the practice itself, you do need to practice longer than 45 minutes, unfortunately, because the body is still going to be awake at that point, most likely. And if you guys are finding that you're frustrated, that you've been lying there for 2 hours and you're feeling upset or frustrated because nothing is happening, then if that's the case, then the reason you feel that is because you are too active, too awake. You're somewhere around here. When we feel frustrated because we've been practicing for a long time and nothing has happened, we usually somewhere around here. We're a bit too awake to the point where time feels frustrating. Like you feel that you've been there for a long time. You feel like you've been trying for a long time and nothing happens. That's usually because you're too awake. When you're deeper, like when you're somewhere around here, not necessarily in the right state, but just when you're deeper, time just flows in a different way. Like you don't feel like, oh my God, I've been here for hours, nothing is happening. You feel like, I'm just here in this comfortable state. It's blissful. It's nice. I can be here for another 2 hours. It's fine. You know, it feels very, very good. So it's a good sign for you guys. If you feel like you're getting frustrated because you've been waiting for a long time and nothing happened, that's a good sign that you need to like go and relax way more and sink deeper, because you're now too awake if you think in those thoughts. You shouldn't be thinking those thoughts if you're deep enough.
I love the new recording you have just for relaxing. And I
The sync breathing?
Just, yeah, is that just the relaxing? It's just a relaxing.
Yeah.
So, and I definitely get there, and I realized the one out-of-body experience I had, it was a deeper level of relaxing and so that's actually what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get to where I can get back to that place.
It is a very deep place that we never really consciously are aware of getting there. Usually when we get there, we have already lost awareness and we have already fallen asleep with our minds. So when we actually get there and we're still conscious, we realize how deep that is. How like, whoa, I am so deep now. I don't know what my body's doing. I don't even know where I am anymore. Like I'm just so deep. I'm dissolving. You know, it gets so deep. And normally we don't. Yeah, normally we're just not deep enough. That's usually the case so many times. I find that making yourself comfortable in so many ways, like cozy blankets helps. And you know, the temperature in the room is important. If it's too cold, you're gonna feel a bit tense. If it's a bit warmer, you can relax more. Like making the astral room or making your astral practice this cozy, comfortable thing that you look forward to do, because it's just nice to lay there and like, it feels just really nice. Just doing the practice, just getting into that deep state where you start feeling like you're dissolving and you're in this kind of blissful place. It's nice. You know, in yoga nidra, people do it just to get into that state, just to feel that relaxation and rejuvenation. And you can also get healing in that state. They don't do it for actually leaving their body, but they're doing it just to get into that state. So I think it's a good thing to think about for us too, that just going into that deep state is nice, is good. We don't have to put that pressure on ourselves that we need to get out of body as well. Otherwise, it's not good. Like label it as not good, or like label it as just doing the practice by itself is going to bring me healing, and it's going to bring me peace. It's going to bring me stress relief and a bunch of other healthy things. It's going to be good for me. Like that's good to think about it like that, so that when you're in it as well and you're like, oh, I've been here for 2 hours, it's not going to be like, oh, I've been here for 2 hours. Be like, I've been here for 2 hours. Nice.
Thank you. Very good.
Nice, Yasmin. And I think the Sync Breathing soundtrack that I added there, yeah, it's definitely a good one for you to use now and again to practice letting go, practice surrendering, practice the Sync Breathing. And I would say that's for all of you guys. I added to the program because before it wasn't there, and I kept seeing that people struggled with letting go and surrendering. And so I thought, you know what, let me just create a soundtrack that's going to be a practice soundtrack for this specific reason, for letting go and surrendering, because I see that this is always the main issue that we all have with the practice. We're always a bit too awake. And another thing to say about that as well is that even when we are, getting deeper and we fall asleep, you could say that, well, that means I don't have to do sync breathing because I fell asleep. I got deep enough. But the thing is that you fell asleep, but you fell asleep, but you got deeper, but you got deeper unconsciously. With the sync breathing, it allows us to get deeper consciously. And that's the difference. And when you get deeper consciously, that's when you can actually detect that there are vibrations taking place or sounds or other out of these non-physical sensations. And when you do it unconsciously, you just completely are oblivious to the sensations you're experiencing. You just fall straight into sleep. That's why the sync breathing is so key.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Does it consume energy? I mean, if you, let's say, have a successful experience today and you try practice tomorrow, does it mean that tomorrow you will have less energy because you had success and you use that energy for your travel today?
I haven't experienced it that way. I don't, not necessarily. I think it's more the way I experience is that if having that experience the day before meant that you had maybe you didn't have enough sleep, so you were more tired the next day, then that tiredness is gonna now roll over to the next day, and you're gonna get into the next practice with a layer of tiredness that you didn't have in the previous practice. Because maybe you, instead of sleeping, a full night of sleep, you slept only 4 hours, and then you started the day and you're quite tired. So in that case, if you find that practicing every day makes you more and more tired, and you're getting more fatigue, and you're getting more kind of like, it's just that sometimes that's better to just practice every second day, so that you get one day off and you can just use that to just really sleep and get a full 8 hours of sleep perhaps, so that the next day you have more energy and more conscious awareness, so that you can do the practice and you're not going to like drift away and just fall asleep again. So it's always better to do the practice more with more energy than to do the practice with like, or than to do like more practices but do them with less energy, less conscious energy.
Got it.
Yeah. Maybe you had some questions for this session?
Yeah, I got the email today that it's 3 months now, and I had one little exit. So should I keep coming to the coaching session, or am I done?
Right. Yeah, I think you should keep coming.
Okay, thank you. So since Saturday, I had two practices, and one of them I could not relax. I was wide awake for an hour in bed, and then I thought, might as well get up and go practice, and I could not get deep. And it was the full moon. I don't know if you feel a change at the full moon, but one of my friends, she's an astrologist, and she said, "Oh no, Joanne, don't even practice on the full moon. You won't get out."
Uh-huh.
Do you know anything about that?
No, I don't actually, but that's interesting to do research in, to find out.
Yes. Yes, the full moon affect us very much. So I work in a nursing home and I work in bars, and I'm telling you, full moon is different. So anyway, and the second
I
one,
definitely think it has an impact on it. I think a lot of things impact us, but exactly how, that I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's going to make you more awake or more asleep or, whatever, but it'll be interesting to find out, actually.
Yeah. She said that when the moon is growing, the new moon, it's the best time. I don't know. I'm gonna check that out. Last yesterday I did the practice at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Never did that at that time, and it was nice. I got really deep. I could feel my energy body, but not deep enough to exit because I was moving physically. So, and I practiced for 2 hours, and then my mind said, okay, then you need to do things. You need to. So
Mhm.
I should have started at 3, but next time, because it was a nice time. It was in the afternoon. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
nice. Afternoon. So the first time you tried in the afternoon was
Yes, in the morning, if I'm too awake, my mind wants to get going things, like I have things to do, and it's reminding me. But
yeah.
at that time, I had accomplished whatever I wanted to. So I was at peace,
Uh-huh.
satisfied. I was able to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And I find out that when I start to relax, at one point, my body goes a big inhale. And I know, and I noticed that a lot. It's like when I probably fall asleep, start to relax, it does it on its own. And then
That's
I do
good.
the same breathing and very, very, very long inhale and slow exhale. And it's at one point, I don't even know if I'm breathing in or out. It is very relaxing,
That's
very,
good.
yeah, when I do that, very long. Because if you go, you wake up more, I find.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah,
So
I
you got
just,
yourself relaxed, but you just didn't get as deep in this time so that you could experience the non-physical sensations.
no, I tried to, but no, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So, and
No,
the
okay.
time before I didn't have any green lights, I did nothing at all, nothing. So, I need
Okay.
to practice more.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be also good if you guys try some imaginary movements as well. When you get deep enough, or when you feel like you're quite deep, you can use your imagination to imagine yourself doing specific movements in that state, or
Mm,
imagine yourself leaving the bed, going out to the hallway, going through the kitchen, like doing a specific journey outside of the house. That using imagination can stimulate the that state that you're in. But you have to get yourself deep. It doesn't work if you're doing it when you're up here. Like, okay, let me lay
mhm,
down and start imagining stuff. It's something that you can do once you've got your body asleep and it's like silent. There's no itching. There's no pain. It's just woof. You feel like you're really deep. You might have the hypnagogic images and hypnagogic sounds, and you're getting quite close.
mm,
At that point, you can start bringing in imaginary movement or imaginary scenarios of you walking through the house or climbing. I was speaking to Michael before, and he's a climber. So for him, it's good if he's using that in his imagination because he's very familiar with that movement of climbing. So everyone has different activities in their day. So some activities going to be more familiar to you. You can bring that activity into the practice and imagine yourself doing that activity. And it helps if it's something that has to do with movements that are, big body movement, not just like something a bit more, like that. And if you're doing that and it starts to become real, like if you start feeling like, oh, I'm feeling like I'm really climbing now, then that is a non-physical sensation in itself. And that's when you can continue the experience or you can exit depending on what's happening. If you're doing this thing where you imagine yourself moving through the house and going outside the house, what can happen is that gradually as you're doing it, at the end of that, you're finding yourself there outside of your house. In that case, you don't have to exit anymore.
mhm,
But if you are instead just finding that whatever you're doing starts to feel real and you feel like you're kind of like walking or something, but it's not really clear where you are and what's happening, but you just feel like you know, something is happening. Vibrations can take place at that point. Whatever is
mm,
happening that suddenly is happening, it's a sign that it's working, and it's a sign that you're in a green, and there's green light. If that thing that you're doing start to feel like it's happening, so just exit at that point. Just sit up. Just roll out from that experience.
What was the time to start that imaginary movement? What is the
It
moment
will-
to do that?
It will be when you feel yourself that you are deep enough, where you've passed that stage where you're trying to get the body to fall asleep. Now the body is asleep. You don't feel the body itching anymore. You don't know if your hands are like this or like that. Like you just have little awareness of the body. It's just the body is just
Right.
relaxed. It's offline. Okay, it's sleeping. That means you're here. You pass the red zone when the body is super active, and then you get into the yellow zone, which is just the hypnagogic images zone, where you start to have some, dreamy stuff, like some images and stuff. Around there, when you start having those hypnagogic experiences, that would be a good time to start actively imagining yourself doing some stuff. But be aware that if you are doing this, and if you're a light sleeper, then that could potentially get you to start becoming very awake, and so it can take you out of the state. So if you're an analytical person, you might be thinking too much about it, like, oh, I'm gonna pull this, I'm gonna do. You might get too much into the mind if you're doing that. So if that's you, if you're an analytical person, if you're someone that gets in the mind very easily, then you're gonna have to combine the imagination with relaxation and with surrendering, with sync breathing. So you keep yourself in that very relaxed state. At the same time, you're sort of slowly imagining yourself doing things. That would be one way to get yourself to stay low and not get high. However, if you're a deep sleeper like you, Rob, you might find that doing this active imagination actually keeps you awake enough so that you don't fall asleep. So it can actually be good for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, nice. So I feel like everyone knows what to do. Satisfied? You guys feel good? Feel satisfied? Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Great success. All right. Then I wish you a great week and good luck with the practice. Let us know what's happening in the group chat. And may the force be with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good luck. Bye.
Bye-bye.